Well, she already told you, she's like a mom to me, so like I want to make her proud and do everything I can just to make her happy. Because she deserves it. She hasn't done anything mean to nobody. She deserves to be happy.
Growing up, I had some really good teachers and I had some not good teachers. I was in first grade and we were doing a game called Around the World with math facts, where you'd be sitting in your seat and there'd be a student behind you and the teacher would flash up the flashcard, and whoever could say it the fastest, they got to keep going and moving on. And it was an awful feeling because I could never be faster than the other students that were there. I have really vivid memories of sitting at the kitchen table with my mom for hours and hours and hours and hours trying to learn things that other kids could learn, and it was awful when I couldn't do it, and I don't want them to ever feel that way. Well, it was my 8th grade math teacher that changed everything for me.
Talk about
Yeah, it was when I finally got to 8th grade and I had a really awesome teacher who showed me how it all worked and made me feel good about it, and I became the head of the class. It was like a total opposite different change for me, and she changed everything for me.
She's a great teacher. She makes learning fun to all the students, especially to me. She's always been my favorite teacher ever since the beginning of school. You know, I was having a lot of trouble in math, but she's never given up on me or any of her other students, but always builds up confidence and always helps us grow and achieve for the future.
I just say she's a great teacher.
What would your school life be if every teacher was Miss Allen?
I'll be a successful dude. I'll be I have straight A's every year, everything.
If all your teachers were Miss Allen, you'd be a successful dude. That's what she said.
Watching them grow, watching them come from the beginning of the year and looking at pictures from the beginning of the year and then looking at them in the end and watching them get ready to go to high school, just watching that whole process is just so rewarding. And then when they come back and they see you the next year and they tell you how great that they're doing, I did part of that. I helped with that, and it's an awesome feeling. I like to do a lot of small group instruction so that I can actually have a face-to-face conversation. I try to get them to not hide, and when you do all of those things, it really helps to build their confidence and actually lets them know that I care and I'm not going to let them fall through the cracks anymore, because being left behind isn't a good feeling, and I don't want to leave any of them behind. I don't let them get behind.
She inspires me to keep trying because she always tells people never give up, you can keep doing it. It doesn't matter if she wins, she's still a great teacher.
She gets to every student's heart in some way, and she'll pull you in the classroom and talk to you about whatever's wrong. She makes you talk about whatever's wrong, and she just gets to our heart, and she just makes us just love her.
Well, the first week we started a new semester, I really wasn't kind of clicking with her because I was still shy, but when she first started bothering me, I was like, when is this lady gonna leave me alone? I don't want to talk. But then as the weeks progressed and as we went on, I was like, oh, she's only doing this because she wants me to come out my comfort, come out my shell, because just getting that motivation and that, it pushes me to do stuff that I know that I wouldn't have done if it wasn't for her.
I always try to tell students that I view my course as teaching them how to be a human being, how to survive in the adult world. I'm teaching them life skills. English is teaching your brain how to think, so having a growth mindset is a great way to approach a challenge. If they're going to get up every morning and come to school, they should make the most out of it. So I try to meet them halfway, and I want them to see that I'm giving into this relationship and into this classroom, so then hopefully that'll lift them up to want to give back as well. My mom taught 3rd grade for I think it was 12 years, now she teaches middle school, social studies, and just going into school with her and visiting her and seeing the relationship, oh my God, seeing the relationship she has with her kids. And she has kids coming back in their 20s, Miss Lackey or Mrs. Lackey, I love you so much. You changed my life. I was how could I can only aspire to be half the teacher that she is.
She interacts with us. She does projects with us. She helps us when we need it. It's not she puts her full effort into this class. She's not just here for the paycheck and the summers off. She's here for us.
the power of yet. So I always talk about human nature, how we're programmed to kind of be negative, to fight or flight mode. The natural inclination a lot of the times is for students to shut down. I can't do this, and repeat old habits. But if they can just do that tiny step of putting the word yet at the end of something negative, if they do that enough times, it's going to change their habits. It's going to change their way of thinking. It's going to change their view of themselves and what they can accomplish. So just that one little word is so powerful.
My favorite thing about her is she makes her class really fun. Like she's not strict, but she does lay boundaries, but she's not strict. Like, and we have like these little funny cheers that we do to like encourage the class and stuff. We do like this parrot thing, and we like.
Wait, you do what?
Like this parrot thing.
Explain.
We like put our arms like this, and then we make a bird sound and say, you did a good job.
1, 2, 3.
You did a good job. You did a good job. You did a good job.
All right, awesome, guys. You can have a seat.
Her personality. Her personality is like the sunshine in the rain.
I always say the quote, people don't remember what you said, people don't remember what you did, they remember how you made them feel. And the fact that they remember that is important to me. I'm sorry. That's okay. Oh, no! You're making me Thanks, guys. No, you're making me cry.
It's okay.
She always like has something nice to say, and she always makes like a good deal out of it. Like she makes things better.
Every day we walk through the door, she'll say hi.
I always knew I wanted to be a teacher since as long as I can remember. And then I knew I wanted to teach special education in high school. There was a group of students in my high school that I just interacted with a lot, and I would see them in the library and I just loved talking to them and hanging out with them. And this one student, Patrick, when we were having these conversations, at first he honestly could not look at me in the eyes at all. It was like painful for him to do that. And by the end, he was completely able to talk to me. I'm actually friends with him on Facebook now, and he's just doing really well. And I really feel like it was just watching like how much he struggled, and you know, when I first met him, I kind of felt sorry for him. Like I'm embarrassed to say, like I was like, oh man, he can't even, you know, have a conversation with me. But watching the way that his teacher built the social skills lesson and how we started in the beginning of the year to the end, and it was just amazing, the little growth that I would see each week. Like if he looked at me for 5 more seconds, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. But I just have the best relationships with them, and I get to like know them as people and watch them grow up and go to their basketball games on the weekends and just get to like really be a part of their life, and I love that.
She's always doing stuff for me, and one time at the library I I couldn't get a book that I wanted, Ghost Whispers.
Right.
She bought it for me. She knew I wanted it, so she bought it for me.
Yeah, my mom, she actually worked with special needs students when she was in high school, and I think that she loves kids too. She had in-home daycare when I was younger, so I grew up with a bunch of kids like all around me, which was really fun. My dad retired as a battalion chief as a firefighter, so yeah, I just think it's always been, my family has always been, they've been more proud of things, of how we treat other people and how we are just interact and respect people than anything else. If we just remember that we're here for the kids, so if every question and every decision we need to make, if we go back to the kids and say, is this what's best for them, or is this going to help them? I think that we're not just preparing them for school, but that we're preparing them for life. So all of the skills that they're going to need to be successful.
She's really cool and sweet, and she's loving, and she just, you know, she won't get mad. She will get mad sometimes.
All right, what does she do? How do you know when Miss Novielli's irritated or a little bit mad?
When I see her face, she's like...
Is that her mad face? What again?
I just want them to remember that they can do what they set their minds to. So if they don't remember a thing that I taught them in social studies, that's fine. In math, I hope they remember the basic concepts so they can move forward. But if they just remember that they struggled with something and then they did it, they just remember that feeling, then I think that'll help them get through anything. Because if something's challenging to them, they know that they can overcome it. And that's something.
Because I trust her, because just how she is, that's how I trust her, because she's just a good person. Amazing. She's an amazing teacher.
She cares about our education and the way that we succeed in life.
Yeah, the first thing that she was like, you know what, I'm Miss Libben. When she first said that, I was like, this is my favorite teacher. The first thing that I thought.
That you knew it.
Exactly, like she have a connection with every single student that we really appreciate, you know.
Everybody in my family does some type of public service. So my mom was a biomedical engineer for the government, my dad works for the VA, I have a sister who's an environmental lawyer, another who's a social worker, so it's kind of a Liebman family trait to have a career that gives back. So I was kind of raised with that value. I wanted to be a human rights attorney, honestly. And the great thing about teaching is that I've discovered I probably do more in the field of human rights and advocacy in my classroom than I ever would have in The Hague or the UN. You fight every day much more important battles about, does my student have a place to sleep at night? Do they have enough food? Do they come from a supportive household? And when you're a human rights attorney, you do that from a very cold legislative side. So even though I think part of me sometimes wonders what that would be like, every time I walk into my classroom, I realize I'm on the bigger battleground for human rights and civil rights than if I ever was an attorney over there. Well, I'm actually a graduate of Myrtle Beach High School and a graduate from Horry County Schools. So I came back to my alma mater because I had such incredible teachers here, including Mr. Wiltrot, who's been a mentor to me. I think with him, and it's something I try to model after him, there's a tremendous earnestness that when he's listening to a student, it's clear that he genuinely cares what they have to say. Whatever they're passionate about or excited about, he'll try to connect with them on a deeper level with. So it's just this idea of valuing students for who they are as individuals and not who they are in seat time or in instruction.
She's a great teacher. She's always there for her students. She will literally sit with you in her free time and help you do stuff. She's talked to us about college, even though we're freshmen.
I have never seen someone so positive in my life. She's one of the teachers, that's why I love her. Like, I love being in First Block, because she is nice. She gives you that energy that makes you think like, you know what, it's another day. You just come here and we're gonna do what we have to do, you know? She is awesome.
Being supportive and fighting for students, it does make a difference. They do see it. And it's easy in the grueling of the day to kind of, when you're taking cell phones or you're telling people to take their hoods off, that you forget that they are listening and they do value our opinions and they do care. I am a person who believes that there is not a crisis that cannot be solved. So usually when I come home, the immediate thought process is not, let me repress this and forget about it. It's, okay, let's think of 3 concrete things tomorrow I can do to make this better. If I never teach anything well, if there's not a single warm-up that works or lesson that works, at least I know that the things I do, whether they're small or big, to somebody else they matter. And there's very few careers in life where you can ever take a step back and say, there's not a day that goes by in my job that I don't try to help somebody else. And that's an honor to have that type of career.
She makes me feel safe in this classroom. Like, I can talk about whatever I need to.
Or no matter where you're from. Like, she even tried to speak my language, you know, and I'm like, wow, like no other teacher, like she's an English teacher, you know, but she's like, you know what, I want to learn that. And she's like, wow, go for it.
So she was trying to do something for you.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's awesome.
Like, actions are bigger than words, and that's what she shows. She shows action.
She really cares about us as students. She doesn't want to see us fail. She wants to try her hardest that she can to make us do our very best and succeed.
I always just had this ideal of I was going to move to New York and I was going to be in the city and I was going to be a performer. And you know, I just think that God had a different calling for me, that I was going to do something more meaningful, that I was going to have a stage and I was going to have a platform, but it was going to be in the classroom and not in front of millions of people. It was going to be more important than that. It was going to be in front of like students every day that I was helping mold and make good community members. And if I teach them anything, parts of speech is not the most important thing. I want them to be a good neighbor and a good friend, and I want them to be honest, and I want them to have good character. My favorite quote is by John Wooden, that ability can get you to the top, but it's character that's going to keep you there.
Very close with her father. I think she was a daddy's girl, yes.
The thing about it is that my dad was always the one to push me to be a better person and to be the best person that I could be. And you know, at times maybe I didn't understand it, because even if I made a B, he's like, you're an A student. And you know, there was at times where I was stubborn and I didn't understand, but he saw in me what I was capable of, and he wasn't going to let me do anything but be my best self.
Get you better personally, and she makes us better as people, makes us better in the classroom.
I think that they think that I'm making them a better person, but they're making me a better person. Last year in my English 1 CP class, and that class was, in there the dynamic, the students had been through a lot. They were students that didn't want to be at school, but they didn't want to go home either. And those students had been through a lot. And a student invested her time with me to say, you know, my mom was on drugs when I was born. She had been molested. She was in foster home. But she wanted to change her world. And she wanted me to be a part of that. She wasn't always on task, she wasn't always doing her work, but I knew that she had a mothering nature about her because she always had to take care of her younger siblings. November 18th, that child was in my class. When I got a life-changing phone call. And she didn't know what was happening on the other end. She just saw me on the phone. But I just kind of, I can't really remember, I just kneeled to the ground, that's all I know. And I said something, I said his, because she thought something had happened to my son. And because she's been in situations where crisis has occurred, she took over. And she came to the phone and she hugged me, she started telling students, she'd go get a teacher. And unfortunately, my dad had passed away in an accident at work. And, you know, that student and I are bound together for life, because she was there for me in that moment that I knew that she would have walked through fire for me. I hope that she remembers that Miss Harrell cares. He's the person that just gets my competitive spirit and my passion and my love for kids. And I know that he's not going to be there, but he's going to have a better seat. Smiling down, because I know he's proud.
Throughout the year has been amazing, helping me, helping my classmates succeed. I think that's the most important thing, and I just want to thank you for it.
You love her. You mean that,
Yes,
don't
yes,
you?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.